Hi there, and welcome to week 7 of our class. We're zooming right along and further into food and society topic this week. I hope you've been enjoying your opportunity to do some research and read about and write about the role that food plays in our lives and within our society and culture. And we're going to continue with that trend this week, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. Right now, I just want to back up and go over a few general things about the site that have changed, as well as some general comments about last week and some work that you're doing. So the first thing I wanted to point out to you is that the rest of the semester is now available on Moodle. I've loaded the general information about the remainder of the semester. You're going to find that the readings and all that type of stuff is listed here, but I don't have the links to all the assignments yet. Okay, that's actually going to be happening in the next week or two. And really, I prefer that you sort of keep maybe looking a week or two in advance as far as those things go, but sometimes I do finalize or change those based on what we're doing in class and how things are going. So it is important to not get too far ahead, but staying on top of things and looking further ahead. So this way you can at least look ahead and put reading assignments and different deadlines and goals and things into your planner and know what we're going to be looking forward to. So everything's here, including the most anticipated week of all, Thanksgiving break. So we will be moving through that, and we'll be here before you know it. So that's available for you to take a look at now. The other things that I wanted to let you know is that beginning this week, and I haven't made the changes for this week's class yet, but it's important for you to keep your eye on this section here about my office hours if you want to do some virtual office hours or come by the Redwood Bowl track when I'm out and about walking. It's going to change a little bit in the next probably 4 to 5 weeks. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling for work, and I have to go, for instance, this week I'm going to a conference in San Diego, and I leave Wednesday and I come back Friday, and then Saturday I have an all-day meeting on campus. So, and then next week I'm actually going to be here for part of the week, but then the following week, again, I'm going to be gone Monday through Wednesday. So some of these things are going to change on a week-to-week basis during this time that I have conferences and things. I'm going to be in San Diego and San Francisco and Boston and a bunch of places coming up. So I'll be able to still, of course, continue the class. I'm going to take my laptop. I'll be doing some things, but I won't be as available perhaps for some virtual office hours if I actually have meetings going during that time or sessions that I'm attending for conferences. And I obviously won't be walking around the Redwood Bowl track if I'm out and about. So keep your eye on that. And that is going to affect our conferencing a little bit too, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Another thing that I wanted to mention is for you to make sure that you're keeping an eye in the left-hand column here at your grades. And those should all be up to date, except for I haven't had a chance to go in and enter the analytical response that you just did your follow-up for last night. So please make sure to be keeping an eye on your grades. Many of you are doing really well, earning right now a B or an A in the class and keeping up on things, and that's fantastic. Others of you have been falling behind, and there are a number of folks who are like in the 50 to 60%, which is a D to an F range of the class, and you're going to really need to kick it in the next few weeks and make sure you start getting all of your assignments done if you want to be successful in this class. You need to have a C or better going into the assessment portfolio in order to submit your portfolio to the committee. If you don't have a C or better by the time portfolio submission comes, and really that will be determined around week 13 or so, right at the Thanksgiving break time. If you don't have a GPA or a grade point average in the class at that point in time, that at least is 70% or higher, you will not be able to submit your portfolio to the committee, and you'll need to repeat English 104 next semester. There are some of you who are in the 20s and 30% in the class, and at this point in the semester, it's unlikely that you will be able to pass this class, and that's something that you need to be anticipating to re-register for next semester. And if you haven't already done so, you should probably change your grade mode to a credit, no credit, so that when you receive no credit in the class, you won't get the units for the class, but at least it won't affect your grade point average either. Okay, so that's something for you to consider. And if you have questions about your grade and your potential grade in the class, you can always email me or set up an appointment to even come in to talk to me in person. Okay, I'd encourage you to do so. The other things I want to talk about are related to assignments that you're doing. And one of them is I had a good question last week from somebody about curation. And if you, for Unit 1, for pop culture, you are required to add to our research collections, okay, by finding resources, putting them up there, doing the summaries and your analysis and your ideas about them, including the MLA citation. And beginning with Unit 2, you're also going to be doing what I call curation. And that is described a little bit in the research collection and curation overview. It's the second of the major assignments listed over in the right sidebar. And so you can look at details there. But basically what curation is simply reading a few and reviewing some of the resources that other people have added to the list, and then going through and adding to them. Okay, and the way that that works, let me pull up something here. Okay, widen this a little bit so we can see what's going on here. In the past, this is what you've been working on by including your resources here, and it sort of is end there. If you go look a little bit further over into the right-hand column, you'll see curation, okay, in it's column L here that I have just highlighted. And curation means that what you're going to do is if you look through and you think, wow, this sounds like a really interesting article that Cheyenne has posted, you're going to go ahead and read that, and in many cases there are URLs listed, right, if they're online sources, and you'll be able to click on that, read what it says, and then you're going to look at what Cheyenne has said about it, and it will be primarily in the areas of summary and analysis that you'll add to. And if you have something that really stood out to you that Cheyenne didn't comment on, you're going to make a note of that. And you'll do that by first putting your name and the date over here in the right-hand column. So I would put Sue, and today's date is 10/7. Okay. The thing is, of course, it's going to be sort of hard to know what Cheyenne added and what you added, if that's all that you do. And we want to make sure that you separate out what you are going to be adding from what she did to begin with. And to do that, what I recommend is that you choose some type of symbol, okay? And today I'm going to use the number sign. And I'm going to put a number sign before and after my thing here in the right-hand box. And what I'm going to do is when I go to add to this note here, I'm going to actually use that same symbol, the number sign, before and after what I've added. So you'll see that here I've just said add a brilliant observation to Cheyenne's entry. Okay, so I would write something there that she didn't say in the summary. So you're not responding to Cheyenne. Okay, this isn't a chance for a response back and forth. This is actually an opportunity for you to add something new to this entry. So there's a piece of information that Cheyenne left out that she may not have found as important, but you do, you might put that in here. If you have an analysis to make of it, an opinion of the resource, in some cases I've seen people add other resources that are related. Hey, if you're interested in this, check out this site. Okay, and that's something that you could do too. But so basically curation is going to be building on what other people have done. And I'm just going to leave this here so you can see an example actually in the fast food research collection of curation, even though I didn't actually add anything of value. Yours will be much more, of course, interesting and valuable than this one. But that's how curation works, okay? And you are responsible, and you can look at the guidelines to see exactly how many things do you have to curate, what type of expectations are there for that, so that you can include that, okay? So that's the curation side of things. I appreciated last week the Writer's Toolbox. People wrote some really interesting things about research and plagiarism and their ideas related to it, and asked some really good questions too. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a video that responds to your questions. I started to type them all up, and it was taking not only a long time, but I thought, is anybody really going to read this? Of course, you might not watch the video either, but it will, I think, be a little bit more interesting, and I can explain things without, leaving stuff out and leaving information out. So I'm going to be doing that later this afternoon, and I will post that right underneath the weekly overview link. So keep your eye out for that as well. The analytical responses we had last week, again, we're moving into that mode, and we'll be doing another analytical response this week. And then, because you're preparing for your next cycle of papers. And the things that you'll be focusing on this week, you're going to do a little bit more, they say, I say, reading about the naysayer. So including a naysayer in your text, somebody who disagrees with what you have to say, is going to be included in there. The other thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be sending me your topic proposal this week on your food and society paper. And the important thing about this is it's due Thursday. The sooner you get it to me, the better. As I mentioned earlier, I am going to be pretty much occupied from Wednesday through Saturday. So it does mean that you may not hear from me right away on your topic proposal. I will reply, and this time I'm asking you to submit them by email. Remember last time we had that issue where we were using the journal, and every time I responded to somebody and updated, everybody got an email message, and there's no way for me to stop that. So what I'm doing is having you just directly email me, and I'll respond to folks in the order of the email. So even if I can't respond to you right away, the sooner you get it into me, the earlier you will be in that lineup of responses. And I will have everybody responded to by Sunday evening, because I'm sort of setting aside that as my last resort. I'll try to get to a lot of people earlier, and I will reply to you letting you know that I received it. So if you send me a topic proposal on Wednesday, and by Friday you haven't at least received a confirmation from me, please do make sure that you check in and send it again so that you're back in the queue. I don't want anybody to get lost in the shuffle here and you're just patiently waiting, thinking that I'm going to get back to you in a couple days and I've never received your proposal. Okay, so please do pay attention to that. We also have another analytical response this week, and it continues our food and society idea. There's going to be a little bit of a difference this week. I'm not going to add discussion topics here. I'm going to actually I'm going to ask you to do it. And I've described this in the directions here, but essentially how it's going to work is this week I really want you to choose a little bit of a focus for your response, to identify a main topic that you're going to talk about related to food from this week's reading, from everything that you've sort of read so far about food and society, but it should include some information from this week's Chapter 16 essays on food and society. And with your focus, you're going to use that as your posting. And if you come on here and you're in this situation where nobody's posted yet, you're actually going to add a new discussion topic. Okay? And what you'll do in the subject line is you'll actually post what it is that your topic is. So if you're going to write about home, the culture of food in the home this week is what you're really interested in, you would put, the home and food or something like that in the subject line. For the message here right now, this is not your actual essay. If you're posting a new link, this is not your analytical response. This is just a brief description of what it is that this strand or this group of responses is going to focus on. So if you want to, you can add a little description. This strand is for people to talk about how food is treated in their home or how their family engages in food. and how that has created habits in their lives, anything like that. And in fact, it could just be it could be a repeat of the subject line. Okay, it doesn't have to be, oh, sorry about that. It doesn't have to be anything real in depth, because it's not going to show up in the forum itself as much. It's going to be a little bit later. And you want to make sure when you're making this link that you switch this. Right here it says send me email copies of posts to this forum. Well, you want to switch it to I don't want email copies. All right, because otherwise we end up in that situation where every time somebody posts to this, we all get emails related to that. So please make sure your friends, your family, everybody will thank you for that. When you do that, you're going to post to the forum. Okay, and I'm just going to do this right now, and I'll delete it. I'm going to say sample, and I'm going to post this to the forum. And you'll see it does this. When you come back, you'll see, okay, well, look at, now there's actually that topic, home, and food in the home, or whatever it was that you put. Then you're actually going to click on this, and you would reply to it just like you would usually. Okay, so if you set up the link, first you set up the link, and then you reply to your own link. If you do sign on to this assignment, and you look at the topics, and there's already some down here, what you're going to do is say, oh, well, I'm sort of close to food in the home. I'm going to just reply to this one. And you could click on this one, and you would add your reply there. If there isn't something, maybe you're really focusing on the fast food industry and what's happening within that, then you could add a new discussion topic. Okay? And then people who also had focused on that would do that in the future. The trick to this is that I don't want a never-ending list of topics without groups forming. So there actually is a maximum of 5 links that I would like people to add here, 5 new topics. So please make sure when you come on here to first of all look and see what the links are, and then also think, well, is mine close to that? If it's just a little bit different, post within a link that's very similar to yours. Okay, if it isn't, if you really have something substantially different, then start a new link. And in any case, if you come on here and there are 5 already posted, you're going to need to choose one that's the closest to what you have to say in your response. And you could do that actually by looking through here and flipping through people's responses. I'm going to leave it as an open forum so that folks can see what people have written about within those areas if they want to see if theirs would fit within there. Okay, so that's a little bit different this week. I want to give it a try and see if we can establish groups based on topic rather than just on colors. Okay, so please, sorry about that, take a look at that and plan accordingly. But do be looking for a focus within your own response. Okay. In addition to analytical responses this week, I already talked about the fact that you're going to have a topic proposal due. You're going to have your analytical response, and you should, of course, be continuing to add resources and doing research for essay number 2. You're submitting your proposal to me. You need to be doing some research to prepare for that anyway, but you should really be researching. Next week, you're going to have an outline or draft of essay number 2 to share with your response group. So it's really important that you're on the ball and you continue to get your research now so you can prepare accordingly for that. The other thing that you're going to be doing is you're going to be signing up for conferences with me in weeks 8 and 9. Okay, and I think it should show up now. Let's see. If you click on here on the date and time, you're going to see something a little bit new. You'll see that I have some that are actually designated to be a particular format only. Okay, next Thursday's conferences, for example, you can only do through Google Docs or virtually. Okay, and then the following Wednesday, you can only do Google Docs. So if you are going to be you want to do a Google Doc conference or a virtual conference, if you could first look at these times and dates and see if they'll fit your schedule, that would be great, that you could leave these other ones open for people who really want to come and see me face to face. Okay, so that would be preferred. And it's going to be true in future. In essay number 3, I'm probably only going to be available by Google Docs or Virtual Office, and probably more Google Docs than Virtual Office. I'm going to actually be traveling almost during that entire time, and so I'm going to have to sort of carve out times where I will be able to sit down with my laptop and be in my virtual office and have virtual conferences with you. So if you haven't yet done a Google Doc conference or a virtual conference, and you're going to need to for essay number 3, you might consider that for essay number 2 as an option, so that you can, practice it. Or on the other hand, maybe you really want to meet with me face to face, and it's going to be, you're not going to have the option for essay number 3, and so you really want to come into my office for essay number 2. That's fine too. I just want you to have a heads up that it's probably not going to be a possibility for essay number 3. Although I will be here to do revision conferences in between essay 2 and 3, and then of course the last couple weeks of the semester as you're doing revision for all of your essays. So it's just going to be during those 2 weeks of the essay number 3 conferences that I'm not going to be around. And I think that's pretty much it for what's going on. As I said, you can look down through the rest of the site now and find out information about what we're looking like for the rest of the semester. That things will change a little bit as I modify some things, as I finalize some assignments, as I make some things match throughout the Moodle site. Maybe catch a couple spelling corrections I didn't when adding everything on the first time. But on the whole, you can see how the class is laid out for the rest of the semester. And that's it for this week. Sorry for the long video again, but I wanted to make sure that whole curation aspect and that new type of analytical response form were well explained for you to be able to do your work. And if you have any questions at any time, please, of course, let me know. And have a fantastic week. Bye now.